Hi, Cambridge Park. It's Kate Gaff again. I hope you guys had a great January. And as promised, here is some data straight from RMLS to you. And today's question is a pretty important one for most sellers, and that is, when should I list my house, especially if my main goal is to get the most money for my house? So let's pop over to the MLS. So this is the software system that all real estate agents in Northwest Arkansas use. And within the software system, it does do some statistical data for us. So just to kind of show you what I'm doing is obviously pop in your subdivision in here and making sure we're in the Rogers Cambridge Park. Unfortunately, the data for your specific subdivision isn't great just because the number of listings over the past year, there just wasn't enough, which is fine. I mean, your subdivision doesn't have 1,000 homes in it, which is why it's quaint and people like it to begin with. However, just for what we do have, and to explain the chart itself, is green is the original price that the person listed their home for, and then blue is what it actually sold at. So clearly what you're looking for is either the blue and green to match, or you're wanting the blue to be higher. So I think the part that is difficult about this specific chart is these folks could have been selling in this month, right? So it's just showing when they listed, not necessarily when they went under contract and when they sold per se and who sold at what point. So it's a little difficult. Really what we're seeing is that, May, they got less than what they asked for. Clearly it's showing July that they got more than the original price. But again, are we looking at homes that have been over here? So what I decided to do is to go back and just look at the city of Rogers as a whole. Also, reach out to me if you have questions about other towns or even subdivisions in Northwest Arkansas. Clearly, I can pull this data on pretty much any property or area. So this is a little bit more interesting. Okay, we want the blue and the green to match, or we want the blue to be higher. And the one thing that's kind of tricky is that this is starting in February, not in January. So what you're seeing is February, a lot of homes are selling for way less than what they originally asked for. March, it's good. April, there's a big difference here. And then into May, I would say that's pretty good. June, it's above asking. And then July, we see a big drop off. August, a little bit of a drop off. September, a little bit of a gap. And then oddly enough, December and January, you are seeing people's homes sell for more than what they originally asked for. So that is, and these are all my own qualitative data that I'm providing you, is I have been in the business for 7 years, and I have also seen homes in the November, December, January timeframe sell very well. I think that you kind of have two thoughts. You have the thought of, especially if you're the seller, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the holidays and the weather's not great and the kids are out of school and family is visiting. I've got to keep the house clean. So I'm just, nobody's looking at houses. My personal opinion, though, is that people's schedules, and historically in real estate, a lot of it is dictated by the school district and the economy, but also the school district, the school schedule. And so people are off for 2 weeks, or people are also tacking on holidays. So now they're off for even longer. And so we do see buyers kind of come out of the woodworks. Now, if you think about it, and another thing you got to think about when it comes to real estate timelines is, so these are when the closings occurred, but this listing was probably up in November, if not late October, right? Because it takes 30 to 45 days to close. So I wouldn't particularly recommend listing. I mean, it's all based on pricing. If you price it really well, list it December 1st, that's great. But even then, they're not going to be able to close in 23 days, right? Like, because everything's closed for Christmas. So strategically, you really want to be listing that house in November, late October, to give it time to be on the market, to get showings, and then have the 30 days to go under contract and that kind of thing. So there is something that statistically is literally being debunked, that the holidays is a terrible time to list your house. It's not. Inventories are low. Buyers need to move because they have that time off with the kids, with the family. They can tack on the holidays from their work to then do the physical move. So another thing that I have also experienced, though, is February is actually the slowest month in real estate. So, and it also shows here to where these folks, we typically, it's potentially a tired seller where they have been listed throughout all of these months, potentially priced incorrectly, potentially doesn't have a great marketing plan. There could be other factors involved, but now they are a tired seller. They're frustrated. So whatever, we get the offer that makes us happy enough. And so we finally kind of walk away. And then everything else, I think this April is a little strange. I'm not sure what this is. If we had a bunch of people listing $1 million homes and then they dropped them all to 800,000, so it kind of skewed our numbers. This, I think, is just an anomaly. There's not a specific theory I have behind why April has such a big gap. But as you can see, really the best month to close is June, which is saying, again, these people were listed May, April, because again, people are actually looking at houses before school ends. So that way they're closing right as school ends and they can do that move. And then they also have time to do that summer vacation before school starts again. So anyway, there's your data for the day. I hope it was helpful. And again, reach out if you have more questions or if you have another area that you would like me to run statistics for you. And see you guys in March.